Part 3, 20th of July 2024. iPhone blipped off again. It's crazy making people. But I was showing you a photo of the jarrah scraps that I actually did turn into jewellery, and how I was fascinated with the various patterning of the timber. 20th of July 2019. I went dancing last night. I managed okay, but the pain got uncomfortable after 2 hours. I stayed until 2 a.m. when the band finished, then went to the 7-Eleven to buy a coconut water, good, and raspberry licorice straps, bad. I hung out with my friend Katrina for a while. Then I went home, utterly exhausted, with a grinding pain in my drain site. I woke up feeling physically stronger, but with a headache I still have not shaken off. But I am content. Life is good. Early in the night, some drunk woman lunged backwards towards me where I was sitting on the edge of the stage in my spot. Without even thinking, I reached up, firmly planted my hand at her back and shoved her off me, propelling her forwards. She muttered, "Sorry," but I was in a quiet rage as she had been trying to get my attention and I had been ignoring her. Anyway, after she was lurched forwards, she left me the fuck alone. It hurt me more than it hurt her, as my side ached from the effort of pushing a grown woman off me. But anyway, what can the Tanya expect when she puts herself out into the world with drunk, incoherent adult children? I had feared being jostled by some loutish man, so it was ironic the attack came from a woman. Afterwards, Afterwards, I carried on with my night and had a very good time, in spite of everything. I might be wounded, but I rise above it each and every day, even with still indulging in sugar at the end of the night. I had one drink, a mocktail pina colada, but I think I should have drunk more water, ergo the headache today. It was just post-surgery, post that gallbladder surgery. I was actually scared to drink because I thought, well, I don't have a gallbladder anymore. I won't be able to process the alcohol and I might end up getting dangerously, really, really paralytic drunk on maybe only 1 or 2 drinks. That ended up not being the case, but I was that frightened afterwards that I was actually, drinking non-alcoholic drinks for a few weekends there, trying to protect my body, mind and spirit as much as possible. Oh, Charlie, what happened? You fell off your perch. Oh my goodness. I didn't do it, she just fell off. I didn't do it, Charlie. Here I write, all good, life is good, it's a beautiful day outside today. Then I shared an article, or a video rather, on Gaia.com. Carolyn Myss, Sacred Power, Why People Don't Heal. And I responded to that. I am also a woundologist. My entire identity is enfolded in the decades of vileness I have lived through and beyond. I have striven to heal myself and only in recent years have I begun to unfold and unfurl. I still have a long way to go. I have never expected special treatment for my wounds. I have merely expected to be treated with reasonable care and personal regard and for human rights. But sometimes those things were sorely lacking. Oh wait, another wound. Fuck. I think she was talking about people who are constantly, negative, malignant, only ever have dark thoughts, always going on. I know all my YouTube channel is about my trauma processing from my childhood and very horrific events in my adulthood, which did impact me badly, but I also bring in light and fluffy and happy events or funny vignettes of my life too, because you have to have balance. It's not all dark and morose and negative and gothic and horrible. But what she was saying, I think, if I remember correctly in the video, is some people benefit from living in that doom and gloom consciousness. They actually turn it into an entire industry. Wonder what that industry might be. Can we mention Big Pharma? But anyway, just as a quick segue there, there's other industries that we could mention that are just literally loose feeding of people's fear, disease, dis-ease, discomfort, homelessness, poverty, domestic violence, abuse. There's entire industries built around that are actually gigantic fucking loose feeding factories and just suck all the joy and vitality out of people. And that's not what I'm about. I know some of my videos, depending on the context or what I'm bringing up in my memories, are dark and confronting and at times terrifying. But that's because as a second generation survivor of Holocaust survivors, we lived through that. My mother lived through World War II in Germany. My stepfather was in a concentration camp. My father lived through the Depression in New Zealand. Well, barely. He would have only been a very, very small boy at the time. But still, we all have our dark things in our life that form part of our personality and our psyche that we constantly have to bat against, literally like bats banging against the top of a cave, dark, mouldy fucking cave, and try and bring light and joy and healing into that consciousness and just push away the darkness. I hope I make sense what I'm saying here. Anyway, we'll carry on. Here I shared a meme. Perhaps we should love ourselves so fiercely that when others see us, they know exactly how it should be done. Indeed. And I commented, absolutely, although avoid narcissism. But narcissism, true narcissism, we see a lot of it in our current modern society because our youth are all glued to smartphones and are only interested in the latest fashion or the latest trend and very myopic, and they can't even look at the big picture anymore of how the world used to be or should be or could be again if we didn't keep fucking it up, am I right? Harrowing thought again, but true narcissistic traits are actually formed by trauma, and I know that because my mother was one. Very, very full-on narcissist, sociopath as well. And it's formed by that constant need for attention, for validation, for feeling empowered all the time, for controlling others, is a desire because you feel internally so underdeveloped and devalued and unloved and uncherished and unprotected, that you kind of become everything that you didn't have as a child. And narcissists tend to amplify that to the power of fucking 10 and become very, very toxic indeed. Very toxic. But when you see a real narcissist scratch under the surface of their braggadocio and their grandiose behaviours and their the big I am, big noting themselves, you scratch underneath that, you find a very, very terrorised, underdeveloped inner child that just needs to know that they're safe and loved. And unfortunately, instead of giving that to themselves, they externalise it by controlling others and manipulating others, exploiting others. So it's really a form of psychic vampirism and really quite evil, but not all narcissists are aware that that's what they're actually doing, It's very rare for narcissists to seek therapy because they're always right and they're always perfect. There's never anything wrong from within their own worldview. They're just in complete lack of sight and are in complete denial. But every human being has narcissistic traits to survive, including me. Everyone has that. Some narcissistic traits are actually quite healthy, It's when it becomes completely pathologized beyond belief that it becomes a real problem. Where's my Charlie? Speaking of, I don't even know who she is. Oh, you're behind me. You're looking in the mirror. How about you help out with Mama? Come on. Oh, pardon me. Well, that's embarrassing, isn't it? Dear Goddess. Right. That did not happen, people of Earth. You were not there. That did not happen. Oh, she just sneezed in my face. Sneezed in my face. This getting old thing is just so unattractive. It's another thing I'm going to have to deal with if I keep living, is accepting whole new levels of unattractiveness. Fortunately, I'm not a narcissist and I'm not all that vain. It's like, it is what it is. I think you got poop in my face, Charlie. How did that happen? She says, I don't know, Mama, tell. I just don't know. I know. 20th of July 2018. Happy thing number 2, a Shehehianu, which is a special prayer for the first time you see something or the first time something happens. First egg from Betty Chook. She is officially a woman now, well, a laying hen now. Lovely, clever girl. Yes, Charlie, I remember when you laid your first egg, you gave Mama such a fright because I thought you were a boy. How are we going to do this? Charlie in my hand. Look, there's me, very happy with my egg from Betty Chook. Yes, indeed. Right, up here. Another sneeze. Why are you sneezing all the time? Are you allergic to life like me, Charlie? No, don't go running around being naughty. Oh, I'm getting hot now. I've got the heater on and now I'm hot. Awesome Friday. I woke up happy and did a very unusual thing. vacuumed and mopped all my floors, did washing, tired of living in my own filth, which was exponentially propagating itself in a rather perturbing way. Then I got a surprise visit from my beautiful Julie. We had a lovely cuppa. Isn't it funny how I got the urge to clean house, not knowing that I was about to get a visit from my friend Julie, who lived in Townsville, so I didn't even know she was in town. So once again, very intuitive, riding some kind of vibe, not always knowing why, but going with it. Knew I had to clean house in that moment, and turned out to be the absolute right thing to do because I had a lovely surprise visitor. Getting ready for ecstatic dance tonight. Need to pop to the shops to buy cat litter. Busy but happy day. My friend Terry wrote, was good to see you, lovely. And Joanne wrote, you had a feeling you'd have company, winky face. Yes, indeed I did. To be that motivated to clean the house, by the gods. I'm never motivated to clean the house. It happens when it happens, but it's not usually such urgency behind it. I had another wonderful experience at ecstatic dance, blindfold trance dance. Amazing. Today has been such a great day, especially seeing Julie and all the lovely things that were gifted to me, healing and blossoming and allowing new potentialities to arrive in my life. Patiently waiting to exhale. No, that is my asthma wheeze, laughing out loud. All good, exhausted but happy. Laila Tov Kulam, Shabbat Shalom. It means good night, everyone. Sabbath greetings. 20th of July, 2017. My psychiatrist is amazed at my survival, and the more I think of it, so am I. How did I do it? As a child, it was my pure heart and pure faith in invisible beings, God and the elementals and pagan gods. Many hours spent sitting on a rock at the furthest outreach to the sea, showered with churning southerly sea spray, intermittently, begging King Neptune, the ancient Greco-Roman god of the sea, to take me into his watery arms. But he did not, and I, too afraid to drown myself, held on another day. I think I was 12 when I was doing that, contemplating just throwing myself into the ocean and just swimming until I ran out of puff and sinking like a stone. But I was afraid because I'd had a few near drownings during my earlier childhood, and I knew there's technically I should not have come back from those near-death experiences either, but each time someone saved me. Sometimes someone with a capital S, which is a bit astonishing too. Later, slightly older, a 14-year-old girl stomping through the hills behind Happy Valley, searching interminably, searching for my wild, not properly broken mare, Asphaloth, up steep mountains and down into valleys, sometimes for miles. Always praying to the ancient Maori gods, Tanafa, gods of sea and sky, of Mother Earth. Save me, save me. Bring me through this life to freedom, true love, happiness. Hush, child, time takes time, and we have so much to do. Be patient. Earth tremors so strong, I nearly fell off one mountainside. Thrown off my feet, I lay still, quietly praying that the fault line I walked upon would not open as a chasm and swallow me whole. Yes, I still have a phobia of that and earthquakes to this day, of the ground literally cracking open and then closing over you. It's a horrible, horrible thought, that. One of the many horrible thoughts I had during my childhood and adolescence. No wonder the horses were missing. Horses, like most animals, sense earth changes hours, even days before we humans. Eventually I found them, high on a hill overlooking the sea. Aspheloth, so psychically bonded to me, she raised her head in greeting. Hello, Mama. I was expecting you. Now catch me if you can. A dance we did many times. A horsey joke on her part. Wild things make my heart sing. You're my everything. You make everything worth it. Trudging through the grasses past gorse bushes that prickled into my flesh, even through my denim jeans. The prickles would inflame and push themselves out within 3 days. My recalcitrant mare led on a halter as I dare not ride her on her own territory. Not until I got her back down from the hilly ranges to the homestead below. Fed her apples and bran and molasses and brushed her and fussed over her. Then I might attempt to ride her, but alas, mostly no. So I led her yet more kilometres to the beach at Alfero Bay, or further to my home at Island Bay. Then, turning her nose back to the direction of her home, the farm, she would let me ride her, cantering joyously. Oh, Charlie, my goodness, that's epic, man. Or bird. Dear goddess, I was trying to get the cloth there before you did that too. Too late, too late. You've arrived on a very special night. One of Charlie's poopykin affairs. She's just sitting up there going, smug little bird. Yes, you're a rascal. My mother was right. Aspheloth was just a big pet, but she was mine and I was hers, and in her own way she loved me. A gift bought for me by Uncle Trevor, my paedophile godfather, as a ploy to keep me bound to him. But the horse and I were bound only to each other for a time, until I married and human children came between us. It's one of my deepest regrets too, was having to let go of that horse. But I just didn't have the time to devote to her, and it wasn't fair. For years after, a good 10 years after, I would dream of her. She would visit me in my dreaming. And it was amazing. Love came down to me from the gods and angels and fickle fae who let me ride through life, through storms, through ghastly events, and past shitty, horrid people I had loved and trusted, people who tried to harness me and abused me. On and on I rode, laid down to die for a very long time. So long that I was a zombie, no longer running or even walking, but sleeping and shuffling and stalking my way through that ghastly phase of my life. Then the zombie had to die. I might have killed it with my own willpower and zest for life, amid strife, amid ignorance, amid sexual predators and sexual violence, in spite of poverty and trauma. The zombie transmogrified into another creature of the night. A fighter, a dancer, a lover of life. Shadow men came to watch her. They wanted her, desired her, but they could not lead her home. Nay, the gods would not allow it. Our precious, we fought for her too long, to live long enough to triumph, to bless and be blessed, to let mere males subvert her. Backhanded booby prize of living for freedom. We took her money, her home, should say homes plural, even her safety, but we could never completely destroy her love of freedom, of self and the earth, her love of a man who feared her, her love of her Holy One and the gods, her partners in the sublime. Funny, innit? The cross we bear, that was not of our desire, not even my religion, that befouled faith of martyrdom. Indeed. What would Jesus, the Jew, think of the Tanya? What do the other deities really think of her? I know not, but I know this. Survival is for those who pay with ancestral bonds and angelic binds, and always, 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 Kadosh, 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 holy, holy, holy. We rise on tippy toes in the quavering, quivering, quaking awesomeness of angels and other messengers of God, humbled like little children caught with fingers in the cookie jar. Survival always comes down to luck. Later I wrote, something really creepy and annoying is interfering in my book I never ended up writing, by the way. Well, it's here, isn't it? You're watching it and listening to it. My book of life, L'chaim. I had it saved on a flash drive that I had kept safe on a key ring. Now the key ring is missing. I can't find it anywhere. So with that, the flash drive is lost. Grr. It may be okay though. I still have an external hard drive, and I think the book is still on my laptop. So all is not lost. I just have to find the external hard drive and copy it across. But how the flash drive keyring thingy could just vanish, I have no idea. Just found the flash drive. Not on a key ring either. Just floating around my computer desk. Thank you. But you shouldn't say thank you to the Fae actually, so I'm going to change that very quickly. Gratitude, you mischievous Fae, for giving my words back to me and at the same time making me look like an idiot, laughing my ass off. P.S. I fucking hate technology. It drives me bonkers. Later again I wrote, oh my God, yum. Homemade Japanese curry. Getting thirsty. My whole throat's closing up. Good grief. 20th of July 2016. 3:01 a.m. Home from a lovely night with Lynn. She cooked me dinner, sweet and sour chicken stir fry with rice. Yummy. Then we sat by the fire, burning out the old stump of an old tree. We chatted about many things, and as always, she calmed my embattled soul with her wise, loving care and always staunch support. I'm so blessed to have such a genuine, caring friend. Yes, I am. I slept until 2 p.m, then hit the ground running to shower and dress, hurl Beauregard into the car, even carried my shoes with me, and a hot mug of tea to arrive just in time for my psych appointment. Oh dear goddess. Then I stopped off on the way home to get petrol, bought fish and chips, and took Beau to the dog park. He was in a grumpy mood, but loved seeing the other dogs. Now home. My asthma is very bad again. I wonder if I will ever get well again. It is all so draining. It promises to be a very warm winter's day tomorrow. 27 degrees Celsius. No wonder the scrub turkey is building his mound early. He thinks it is spring. There she blows. Moon madness. Tonight, under the influence of that glorious moon, I finally made the key lime pie. Then painted my mannequin arm with glow-in-the-dark resin and tried to fill some holes in my staff with more resin, but it leaked everywhere. Now the lounge is full of toxic fumes, so I had to put Beauregard to bed in his crate in the kitchen, as I worried he might get affected. I've done some washing too. No need of a heater tonight. It is beautifully comfortable. I've opened the front door to try to dissipate some of the resin fumes. My lungs are already bad without adding more crap to them. I might finish off the pie soon with whipped cream and partake of some. Yum. Yummy, Charlie. 20th of July 2015. I just pulled off 2 ticks from my beloved Mushu. One still engorging, the other was dead. I hope it wasn't a paralysis tick, or he will die. So far he is purring happily. I will have to keep an eye on him. They must be bush brown ticks, as I have pulled a few off him in recent weeks. I must locate his favourite spot in the garden, as none of the other cats have had any ticks. Perhaps he sleeps in the possum box, which would be a ready source for ticks, as possums carry them. Trigger warning, CPTSD, trauma processing. Time for a cup of tea for those of you who are feeling fragile, or something stronger, according to your want. This morning's dreams were fraught, stressful CPTSD ones, not the sweet, flavoursome delectables of yesterday. Humph, my brain. I dreamt that Uncle Case once again made a move on me, so right then and there I phoned emergency 000 and stated to the voice on the other end, I want you to register as sex offender, in this officious, flat, sinister tone of voice. Without argument, they said the police would be there within half an hour. My mother was in the dream, but she was dotty, and I worried who would look after her with Case incarcerated. Then the dream shifted focus into their toilet, which was rather alarmingly not hooked up to the downpipes, which I didn't realise till I had a massive pee and it washed out onto the carpet. Sorry, my sciatic nerve just decided to give me a bit of a grinding pinch, which is interesting timing given who I'm writing about here. My mother, rather dotty, matter-of-factly stated, "Don't worry, it happens all the time." But I spent the next few mind blips of the dream dutifully cleaning up my urine from the carpet. Then the police arrived and I stated Case was inside with my mother and daughter, but I never leave him alone with my children, as he's a paedophile, you know. The dream ended. This was actually true in real life. I never let them sleep overnight. He had this relationship with Jasmine, where he kept lollies in his drawer, because like me as a child, she was a fossicker. He would brag about how she was such a little thief. I said that I didn't approve of him teaching her to be a criminal. He said, "Don't be stupid. I put the lollies there deliberately." I told her never to be in the bedroom alone with him. She said, "I know, Mummy." I don't think he ever molested her, as I told him and any other man that came into my family orbit that I would cut their throats if any of them touched my children. After my 15-month relationship with Terry broke up, a woman passing my house told me she knew he had molested kids in the neighbourhood and it was good I broke up with him. My blood ran cold. I said, "Why the fuck didn't you tell me this before? I had no idea." She shrugged, said, "Thought you knew." I yelled, "What the fuck?" and put my kids at risk. I ran inside and asked both my girls about the few times I had been asked to help out in Gila's restaurant and had left him to look after them. They said, "Nah, Mum, he never did anything. In fact, he acted really strangely." I said, "What did he do?" They said he would lock himself in my bedroom and stay there until I came home from work, which was odd behaviour. But, I'm glad that he kept away from my kids, am I right? I did about 3 shifts working for Gila, but each time I was terrified for my children. I really didn't trust him and quit. But the thought he had opportunity sickened me. My mother and Gila had pressured me to take the job, which I found suspicious. They stated I was lazy, a bludger, and needed to get off my butt to better support my kids. It never entered my embattled head that they were helping create opportunity for him to have close access to my girls. But the anxiety at work and Gila's nightmarish harassment meant I checked out again. My only concern was to keep my kids safe. When I branched out and started taking Kabbalah classes with Emmanuel, another dodgy sleazebag, on Tuesday evenings. I would warn the kids to lock all the doors and not answer the phone except from me. At one lesson, they rang me in a panic as they had received a call from Emmanuel's friend. They hadn't answered but recognised his number. I told them, then aged 13 and 15, that I would be home soon. The jig was up. David arrived with his new girlfriend. He looked smug but anxious. She sat near me, also nervous. A very young, pretty thing. I said to him, "Have you phoned my home tonight, David?" He sucked on his cigarette in that classic Israeli psychopathic style he had long ago mastered. "No, I haven't," he said. I said, "Really? I just had a call from 2 frightened kids, as I have calling number display, and that never lies." Everyone glared at him, even his devoted friend, Emmanuel. I stayed for the lesson, was civil to the blissfully ignorant girlfriend. I don't think she was that blissfully ignorant. Turned out she was complicit in all of that viciousness, the evil, dirty cunt. But, here's me trying to think well of people, which totally derailed David the Devo, me being kind to the girlfriend. Then I offered her a lift home. She demurred, saying she came in her own car. I smiled. "Smart girl," I said. Then I walked out. I think I attended a few more lessons until Emmanuel turned the lecture into a discussion about my vagina. Then I realised I had had enough swimming in the shark tank. I quit then and there. Several months after, Charlie, that's epic. Dear Goddess. Several months after, one of the other male students invited me for dinner at a posh restaurant. He had always been pleasant to me, but I agonised over whether to go or not. I packed a spritzer bottle with cayenne pepper mixed with water in my evening purse in case he jumped me. Although the evening was a disaster, as he turned up lathered in sweat, having ridden his bicycle from Kangaroo Point to Milton, and kept his bike helmet on as we entered the restaurant, so he was politely told to remove it, by the staff, not by me. For my part, I got drunk on 2 glasses of red wine and variously entertained the other guests by expounding passionately on religion and politics in the Middle East with my usual inappropriate cayenne peppery expletives. Very bad form on my part. One should never discuss religion and politics at a restaurant in polite society, by the way. Do you think I might have been acting out ever so slightly? He whined for his part that there was no food on the plate. There wasn't, as it was that ghastly overpriced nouveau cuisine, which is French for artful starvation. That he'd been better off taking me to McDonald's for a decent feed. A canny Scotsman, if ever I dined with one. Although he didn't turn out to be a psycho-killer spy plant sent by Emmanuel and David after all, so he didn't jump me, and I didn't get to practice my spritzing. As one Israeli girlfriend stated, "What were you going to do? Scream, 'Stand still while I pump the spritzer into your face'?" then fell about laughing. So yes, my idea of self-defense was seriously flawed, but I didn't know if mace was even sold in Australia or how to buy it, so that was my best laid plan. I didn't have much trust in anyone connected to DD, as he had also attempted to strangle me and had mentally tortured me. So now I have to wonder why I even gave that guy a chance. Perhaps 'cause I knew he was a train wreck, but sweet on me, and after all, how bad could it be, laughing my ass off? Bad? That was my one actual date in 30 years since I had first met my husband. Needless to say, it was my last one. I just can't deal with that level of anxiety and bizarreness. Come to think of it, Mum and Case did often have dodgy plumbing in that house in Wellington Point. My little Pee-wee Herman Cock Supreme is quilling around his neck feathers where the no crow collar goes. He is so miserable that he refused to eat any porridge. I took it off to give his neck a rest for the day. Quilling is already painful. But my boy crowed 14 times this morning. He was not shrill, just a sweet little lament, so the collar will be back on this evening. Poor little mite, but it beats being euthanized for the crime of being born a singer and a boy. Pardon me, and here he is. He was a sweet little lad, gorgeous little boy. Trigger warning, suicide. Yesterday was my grandmother Eva Augusta Meyer's birthday, the 19th of July, 1898. Or was it 1894? Can't remember now. I never met her. She suicided on 8th of March, 1949. So yeah, that must be right then. She had always suffered from mental illness and was a very violent, abusive mother to my mother Gisela. She feared being alone when Gisela planned to marry Hans Peter. She had been bombed out 4 times in Hamburg, lost everything, and my grandfather Erich Meyer had died of TB on 12th of April 1945, just days short of the end of the war in Germany. 4 years later, she was penniless, living in a tiny 2-roomed flat she shared with my adult mother and would probably lose when Gisela married. She stated in front of Hans Peter, Angela's father, that she intended to kill herself. He replied, "Get on with it then." He took my mother to work, and in the evening when they returned, he waited at the street corner while my mother crossed the road and entered the apartment building. As he turned to walk away after having a cigarette, he heard my mother's horrific screams. Eva had put her head in the gas oven and was lying on the kitchen floor. He told my sister that he never forgave himself for his cruel words. The young can be endlessly cruel to the elderly, especially older women. He later in life realized her situation would have been hopeless. She had never worked in her life, had no money, no possessions, was 54, traumatized from the war and a widow, and had always suffered poor mental health. And actually, I should have added to that, was also dying of TB, so she knew it was hopeless. Her suicide was actually an act of desperate courage, not cowardice. She simply knew she could not survive alone. I am 50 now, and I used to be very angry with Eva for all the trauma she inflicted on my own mother, both physical, horrific beatings, and mental. Yet my mother loved her with such passion, she begged me to never bury her at death, as she firmly believed visiting her mother's grave daily for several years was the most cruel and painful thing of all. She cried so much over her grief for Eva that at 6 months pregnant, a neighbour woman hit her in the face and demanded she stop it, as she said it was hurting the unborn baby. And after all, hadn't she cried enough over a dead abusive mother? And really, it wouldn't bring her back. I know how terribly I grieved for Gisela, even 18 months before her death, when she was granny dumped by 2 evil money-grubbing stepsisters I had never even met. To see her cognition wasted away by Alzheimer's and her slow decline to death was a constant horror for me. My own abuser, who had also been one of my greatest loves. See how abusers program their children with extreme devotion beyond anything they might actually deserve? Was gone, and I had to reframe my life. 5.5 years later, I am much happier and free at last of the curse of the albatross, the hag I kissed that spewed hate at me and for me for 45 years, who manipulated, blackmailed, colluded with my husband and later boyfriends against me, who vowed undying love but stabbed me at every turn. In one of my most traumatized periods of my life, after Terry strangled me and his sister and Border were still threatening my kids and I, my mother, who visited them with Buck Sherritt weekly, I later found out. It's how fucking filthy and evil they were. Told me how much she loved me. I said, Mum, your love is like a slow-moving poison from which I might actually, finally die. Love, such a precious and terrifying gift. Gift in German means poison. Oh, Charlie, again? That's a lot, you know. What's going on with your tuchus? Oh, my goodness, it's everywhere, man. Everywhere, like the Leyland brothers. She's looking at me all indignant, like, what, Mama? What? What? A blessing or a curse? Choose life. Always choose life. If you are truly loved and you have clear evidence of this, try not to fuck it up. Real love is as magical and cherished a treasure as the mystery of life itself. Indeed it is. It truly is the most powerful treasure anyone can ever be presented with. trying to avoid that gift word. Dear Goddess. 20th of July 2014, 3:09 a.m. Home again, can't feel my feet, still. I did keep boltering on my sore tootsies. I had fun though. Both Sherry Paris and Lynn Sloan simultaneously wrote, "Aren't you supposed to be resting?" Oh. And I replied, yeah, resting tonight, Sunday. Slept till 4:30 p.m. and staying home tonight, promise. Just watching this woman, she's a neighbour down the road. Her dog just did a massive dump in the middle of the road, and then she sort of hesitated, walked around in circles, dazed and confused, fumbled with the poo bag, and then didn't bother to pick it up and walked off. I guess it's not right next to my front gate, so it doesn't really impact on my day too much, but still, it's a bit rude, isn't it? Leave your dog shit there in the middle of the road. Oh well, what am I going to be, the dog shit police? There's more important things to worry about. I'm just kind of bemused by it, that's all. Where was I? Oh yeah, resting tonight, Sunday. Slept till 4:30 p.m. and staying home tonight, promise. Getting my hair done tomorrow, woot. Back to bed to rest and watch True Blood. Friday night I was so broke. I had a $5 note and $3 in coins to my name. Outside the pub sat an elderly Aboriginal man. He had a kind face and was banging his rain sticks together. His paper coffee cup had tipped over and the coffee had poured all over the ground. He didn't seem to care. The wind was wild and blustery and bitterly cold. I walked up to him, said, "Brother, your coffee has tipped over and poured everywhere." He said, "What? How did that happen?" I said, "The bloody cold wind, brother." I put $5 in his hand, said, "That is the last of my money. Go buy yourself another big cup of coffee and make sure you drink it this time, mate." He said, "What did you just give me?" I looked at him, said, "Are you blind?" in a rather harsh tone, out of some surprise on my part. He murmured back, "Partially." I said, "Oh, okay, brother. Well, your coffee has gone to hell, so use that $5 I gave you, well, and get the best damn coffee you can find and enjoy it." I clasped his hand briefly. He smiled. I went into the pub feeling wonderful. I bought no drinks and drank water all night until the early hours of the morning, when Joe bought me 2 drinks and Alma gave me a Corona. That was kind, wasn't it? Very kind. So last night an acquaintance came to visit me. He gave me $40. I couldn't believe it. So I went out with Joe and the girls again. It was great having money to buy a few drinks for myself. Then I realised my small gift to the homeless Aboriginal man had rebounded to me in abundance. My angels bless me, and I bless others when I can, and the entire universe turns on a dime in perfect synchronicity, fueled by unconditional love, respect, and beauty. Indeed it does. Fuck yeah, I love life now. There were 48.5 years when I just existed. Being fully alive is awesome and a little bit dangereuse, darlings. Winky face. It is indeed. I must have been responding to some meme that I didn't post or didn't carry across, but what she said then still applies now, babies. Only it's 59 years and 3 months or something like that. Who's counting? Every day is a gift. Sometimes a poisonous one, sometimes a treasured, beauteous, bounteous one. Yin and yang, people. Yin and fucking yang. 20th of July 2012. I have finished vacuuming and mopping the floors. What an epic task, but the house smells clean and fresh now. I have a yearly house inspection tomorrow. I was so tired today I had a 4-hour nap during the day. Still weary after all my cleaning, so a nice cup of tea and back to bed go I. Shabbat Shalom. 20th of July 2011. I've done a few sinkfuls of dishes but heaps more to go. But I did rake up leaves in the garden and filled my compost heap. Need to do that again, but not today. My lungs are too quavery today. I need some more rest, I think. I also added layers to my worm farm so they have more room to breed, etc. I wonder why I only want to be in the garden and refuse to do much in the house. I cooked a delicious dinner for myself out of whatever I had left in the pantry. So proud of myself. This is Thursday's card, so not impressed as the tower usually means that I'm going to be terribly devastated about something. Maybe I will not get up tomorrow as I dread tower days, laughing out loud. I have a big beautiful male possum in my bathroom wrapped in a towel in a plastic crate waiting for wildlife services to come get him. I can't find any injuries, but he must be sick because with much outrage he let me wrap him up and hold him and bring him inside. Poor darling. I don't know if it was my baby Tinker-Tink all grown up, because I think Tinks was female, but anyway, I hope this one doesn't die. Possum just left my home. The carer thinks it's a highly contagious disease, but they aren't sure what it is, so I have to keep an eye for other possums that show up sick. He's got dermatitis and had a hard belly, and by 3:23 p.m, 3 hours after I found him, his testicles were extremely swollen. They were an empty sack when I first brought him in the house. He was nicely sleeping when the young woman picked him up, so he was one pissed off possum. She says if he recovers in a 6-week period, she will bring him back here to relocate, but if longer than that, he'll get relocated anywhere. I hope he survives. I'm going out now to disinfect the possum box as it's highly contagious. I don't want any more sick or dying possums if I can avoid it. And then it jumps to something from 2023. But anyway, it's odd. I have to delete that. That's just out of time, out of mind, in the wrong space, time continuum. But anyway, again, it's just me going on about housework and, just mundane things. So thus concludes today's readings of Even Date. It's been 3 videos today because iPhone problems. And wherever you are in the space-time continuum, big agape love from the Tanya at Psychedelic Dreamer. Some of my Pal Talk friends know me by that nick. at Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. It's a glorious sunny day, but I'm going to have to go and have a little rest now. But yeah, take good care, stay happy, stay free, stay wild, and remember, as always, never ever let the bastards grind you down. Bye for now, planet Earth. Say goodbye to the people, Charlie. Say bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, 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 bye. She wasn't too keen on that. Okay, take good care. Much love.